Hello. I recently got a response letter in the mail to an online protest I'd sent to my U.S. Congressman, Blaine Leutkemeyer. I know it's an interesting name, Leutkemeyer. And he sent me a letter. It was just really an automated little my name and my zip code and saying I protest the NDAA. And it went to him. And he, or his office, sent me a response letter. And I would like to discuss it. First, it says, Dear Mr. Greenwood, thank you for contacting me with your concerns regarding H.R. 1540, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012, NDAA. I appreciate your views on this important issue. I do appreciate his office's taking time to respond. As you may know, the President signed H.R. 1540 into law on December 31st, 2011. I was aware of that, yes. H.R. 1540, supported by an overwhelming number of members of Congress. First point. Why is it that Congress can only come together on things like the NDAA? And why is it always in direct opposition to the American people and in the most secret ways? If this is such a great thing, why is it so unpopular? It's not just a PR flop, it's an actual factual flop. And he goes on to say that it contains numerous important provisions that affect military personnel, retirees, and their family members. That's because no one is safe. At least when these guys are in control. He goes on to say, please know that I understand your concerns regarding the detainment provision. However, contrary to certain reports, nothing in this legislation changes existing law with respect to the detention of U.S. citizens. That is written directly into the Authorization Act, and that is because the authorization of use of military force already allows for this. So there is no need to expand upon the detention when there is no room for expansion. There is a statement of administration policy, National Defense Authorization Act, fiscal year 2012. It says, the authorities granted by the AUMF or the authorization of use of military force, including the detention authority, are essential to our ability to protect the American people from the threat posed by al-qaeda and its associated forces, and have enabled us to confront the full range of threats this country faces from those organizations and individuals, lone wolves, namely Americans, or foreign legal aliens. Because the authorities codified in this section already exist, the administration does not believe codification is necessary and poses some risk. Now, what does the NDAA actually say? In particular, regarding the detention, it says, in general, Congress affirms that the authority of the President to use all necessary and appropriate force pursuant to the authorization for use of military force previously discussed includes the authority for the armed forces of the United States to detain covered persons, as defined in subsection B, pending disposition under the law of war. Okay, covered persons. A covered person under this section is any person as follows. 1. A person who planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11, 2001, or harbored those responsible for those attacks. 2. A person who has a part of or substantially supported al-qaeda, the Taliban, or associated forces that are engaged in hostilities against the United States or its coalition partners, including any person who has committed a belligerent act or has directly supported such hostilities in aid of such enemy forces. Now, what they don't realize is this implicates the United States government. And note, when they say the United States, they mean the United States government, because the United States created al-qaeda. It is a CIA program from the 80s against the Russians, where, forgive me for mispronunciation, but I think it's Brzezinski or something of this sort, trained Osama bin Laden to fight the Russians, creating the Mujahideen and the al-qaeda. Also interesting to note that wherever the United States government wants to wage war, al-qaeda follows. Libya, Iraq, Syria, it interferes in international politics in Yemen. Al-Qaeda is in Yemen. Saudi Arabia, or the Arabian Peninsula, I guess. Everywhere they go, al-Qaeda follows. It's not al-Qaeda they want to defeat. It's the individuals and the person who has committed a belligerent act or has directly supported such hostilities in aid of such enemy forces, such as people the CIA and the FBI set up with false flags and false bomb threats and whatnot. It's all government run. Okay. To describe what it means under disposition under law of war. The disposition of a person under the law of war, as described in subsection A, may include the following: detention under the law of war without trial until the end of hostilities authorized by the authorization of use of military force. Trial under Chapter 47A of Title 10 United States Code, and transfer for trial by an alternative court or a competent tribunal having lawful jurisdiction. Transfer to the custody or control of the person's country of origin, any other foreign country, including Egypt for torture, or any other foreign entity, such as, say, Mossad of Israel. Now, again, construction. Nothing in this section is intended to limit or expand the authority of the President or the scope of the authorization of use of military force. Authorities. Nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing law or authorities relating to the detention of United States citizens, lawful resident aliens of the United States, or any other person who are captured or arrested in the United States. Because, as I've said previously, those abilities, those legal loopholes already exist. Mr. Leutkemeyer goes on to say, moreover, the requirement for military detention of foreign terrorists explicitly exempts U.S. citizens. That's because U.S. citizens aren't foreign citizens. However, the government, in its drive to illegally wiretap the United States citizens, is treating it as though it is a foreign nation, legalizing all of this surveillance. He goes on to say, make no mistake, every U.S. citizen's right to habeas corpus is protected, and this provision does not address or extend new authority to detain U.S. citizens, previously covered. In fact, this legislation simply affirms that the military may lawfully detain foreign individuals who are part of or substantially supporting al-Qaeda or associated forces and have participated in the course of planning or carrying out an attack or attempted attack against the U.S. or its coalition partners, which U.S. citizens do, or may be charged with doing, or blamed for doing. While this specific provision has received national attention, I believe it's important to highlight the overarching purpose of this bill: to authorize appropriations for fiscal year 2012 for military activities of the Department of Defense, specifically $554 billion in base funding and $115.5 billion in funding for overseas contingency operations, ensuring our troops deployed in Afghanistan, Iraq, and around the world have the equipment, resources, authorities, training, and time needed to successfully complete their missions. Okay, why spend over $600 billion on military in 1 year in a situation where Congress cannot even agree to cut $600 billion over 10 years? That's $60 billion of $660 billion. You couldn't find that to agree upon. People are starving, in America. Children are going without because their parents have no work. And it's not prudent to spend so much money fighting enemies the United States creates in a way that creates more enemies. It is completely fiscally and diplomatically and politically irresponsible. And this is in direct confrontation with things like the Geneva Accords, especially the third and fourth one, and the treatment of not only captured combatants, but also civilians, because this equipment is going to bomb Pakistani civilians and train Syrian rebels and continue the unauthorized military action in Africa. This is no joke. And people who portray themselves as patriots for passing such a thing and then defend it really have no sense of what patriotism is. This is what American politics have become. And as much as I appreciate a response letter, it is not in America's best interest. And I'm watching.